I think we're live.
I think so.
All right, you guys. Hello, hello,
Appropriate,
hello.
yeah.
Who's all there? If you're there and we're actually
Yeah.
live and you can see us,
Yeah.
please let us know.
It's always when you get the notification, you're like, yep, okay, here we go. Hello, everyone. Hi.
Hello.
Pop a hi into the chat. Let us know how you're doing.
Yeah. We're,
And we're obviously talking about the San Francisco Stationery Fest. So let us know if you went or if you didn't get to go.
yeah. Are you curious about it?
Hope so.
Because I think obviously you and I were curious, so that's why we went.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to the San Francisco Pen Show for the last 3 years. Yeah, 2023 was my first time. So, as soon as I heard that they were going to have a stationery fest in SF, I was like, yeah, I need to go just to, support, but also I'm curious to see, what the difference would be between a pen show and a stationery fest. So,
And that's what we're going to talk about too.
good morning.
Hello, Alex. Thank you for hanging out with us. Yeah, so okay, let me show you. I think if someone watched my last video, they've seen this already. This was the official postcard that came about. I think I got this one about 3 weeks before the actual stationery fest, so it was a
Nice.
fast moving thing.
Nice.
So yeah, and I actually got invited, or I was asked to look into participating, which was a very much needed nudge for me to actually make the step. And I'm gonna talk about that later too. But it was just a very special event for me personally, also because it was my first time as a vendor there, or part of my friend's table. So
Yeah, that's awesome. So I know we're gonna dive into, our experiences and what we were doing then and stuff. But maybe, if someone who's joining isn't familiar with both of us or one of us, we will do a quick intro. So I'm Carola, and on all socials, I'm from Carola, and I I'm an I love dabbling in all things stationery. And I love watercolor painting, painting with fountain pen inks. My style is, abstract florals. Um, so if you see my posts on socials, that's typically what you'll see from me is abstract floral art. And I do it because I find it very relaxing and it's almost like a mindfulness practice for me. And so the way I experienced SF is as a workshop instructor. I taught a couple of workshops on, doing this abstract floral art. So that was kind of my main purpose of going to Stationery Fest in SF. And then, of course, secondary, was to experience the fest. And the biggest highlight, aside from the things that we got, of course, is always the people that I saw there, new friends that I got to meet, and then of course old friends like Marina, hanging out and chatting and being able to experience an event like this with friends is amazing.
and I get to see you twice a year now. So that's the
Yeah,
fun part, because
yeah.
previously it was only the pen show, but now it's two things.
Yay.
Hello, Chris. Thank you for joining all the way from Austria,
Hi.
which is a good timing for you. I think it's like a light evening, and it's not like middle of the night, because that's when they usually join. And yeah, that is so awesome, just to like have two things now and to see friends more. And that's what we're doing it. We want to see more friends. That's one of the, I feel like, social aspects of these events. So if someone at all is new to my channel, I'm Marina, and I make ceramics, and I also make paint, and I collect fountain pens. So I guess three things, and they're connected, but sometimes it's not very clear that they're connected. And I feel like maybe after the show, people sort of realize that they are connected. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, it's funny how people sometimes find you because of this one item, like one fountain pen that you reviewed or stuff like that, and they don't realize that there's like so much more, like for example for you, that you paint as well. So and someone found you for plotter, say, right?
Yeah.
Your reviews of plotter.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is fun. All right, we have 10 people in the house.
Yay.
Oh.
Thanks for joining us.
It was very kind of spontaneous because I got a little bit of like cold after the show, which happens, you know. Our bodies are like, it's so overstimulating. Their bodies kind of get a little kind of like too hyped up, and then it kind of plops.
Yeah, it's like an adrenaline dump almost, like you're constantly on the go and you're socializing and taking in everything around you. And then as soon as you get home, my body too is just like, yeah, okay, I just gotta rest for a little bit.
So why do we do it though? You know, it's like crowds of people, you get slightly like a feeling of hangover, or maybe you get sick after, right? But we still, you and I would still love to do this all over again. So why is it for you?
Yeah, not only as attendees, we like to get involved. We like to be right in there.
Right.
um, it's a great question, right? Like you said, it's a lot of people, right? There's crowds. It's sort of the stationery fests or pen shows are once a year, right? It's like
Mhm.
a destination kind of thing for us. Um, and I mentioned it's for me, it's all about the people, right? It's about who's going, my friends, but also getting to meet people in the community for the first time, sometimes too. And it's also about meeting vendors who I may not have access to otherwise. So we have vendors flying in overseas. We have vendors that may not have online shops or a way to sort of get their products otherwise. And as a stationary person, I love the tactileness of being able to hold things, feel things, really look at things. So if I can go to something like this where I can actually, touch and feel things, it sort of connects me a little bit more to the stationery that I'm getting and that I'm adding to my collection. Um, and from a workshop instructor point of view, it's obviously because I personally love sharing my art. I love sharing my process of creating art. And if that encourages, at least one other person to take away, some a practice that they can do on their own time, then my job's done. So I get a lot out of seeing other people practice art and creativity, and I personally love teaching workshops and walking people through doing art. So maybe it's a little selfish in that way too. I kind of get something out of it, but
We all get something out of it. I think like the fun part is really meeting someone you have either chatted online with, right? Like you and I, and we've met before at the San Francisco Pen Show. But there is something about it, that putting that face, right, to the person you've talked to online. And sometimes they just like, it happened to me. There are like people who are like, hey, I follow you, you know, and like I've never, seen their face. But it's like the best feeling ever, because you like, you remember, oh, I've chatted to you, because like they're like, well, this is my, whatever nickname, or and it's just like, it's the best feeling ever. And in the way you're not feeling like alone, like you're, especially when you're putting out content, sometimes you have a feeling that it goes out into some kind of void,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not, and it's just a kind of affirmation of that, that there is community built, not necessarily around, whatever you're doing, but just in general, and that's Stationery Fest, right?
Yeah, for sure. I have a hard time remembering names. I'm not good with names, but I can remember usernames. So it's always fun when I meet people from like online, whether it's, Twitch or Instagram or wherever. And they introduce themselves and I'm like, okay. And then they're like, my username is this or my handle is this. I'm like, oh, right, of course. I've interacted with you many times online. So it's kind of nice to put faces to names and handles and stuff like that. And like you said, it sort of makes it more real, right? We are social beings in the way that we like to feel connected to other human beings. And especially at these types of events where you have at least something in common in the fact that, you're interested in the hobby, whether or not you're, deep into it, you jumped into the rabbit hole, or if you're a first time sort of beginner who's thinking about journaling or using stationery in some way. Um, Either way, I feel it's nice to meet people and know that people are there with at least something in common with you. And you can kind of start from that, right? You have something to talk about that at least it's like, okay, so what pen are you using? Something very simple, but it breaks the ice and it gets us to interact.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, question to that point, because you teach classes in both pen shows and here, and how many like people that sign up are just stumbled upon your class, and how many are just like intentionally wanted to take it because they've been following you for a while? Have you like, is there a ratio that you've
Yeah,
seen?
it's a good question. With pen shows, I find it leans a little bit more towards people who have seen my art online, have heard about me, or I've interacted with them in some way.
Mhm.
Um, but the stationery fest, because I think I'm more sort of active in the pen community. And that's where I sort of got to know the community or people, and through Twitch too. And so stationery is a wide sort of, it covers people who are into planning, into journaling, into all kinds of, ways to use stationery. And I found that at the Stationery Fest, maybe a handful of people who took my classes were familiar with my art, had known about me previously. But a majority of the people who took my classes saw the class description or, saw it through the SF Stationery Fest social media posts and kind of thought, okay, yeah, this is something I want to try. And the funny thing is, um, in my workshops, I was using Tombow dual brush pens and we were painting or using them to paint flowers and get that watercolor effect. And so I asked, has anyone done this before or has anyone tried using brush markers for watercolor purposes? And maybe there were like two people out of the whole class that had even tried to use brush markers for something other than, what you would obviously think of coloring or even hand lettering. And so it was kind of like, this is great. I'm going to show you something that you have never done before and may have heard about and were just curious about doing. So it was a great sort of starting off point for me because, it gives me a place to start from. And it's like, yeah, let's do this together. Right. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I like that. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that you can use certain things to get that watercolor effect, and it doesn't have to be watercolor paint. So, right on. I really like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also mess free. So as a
I
workshop
know.
instructor, it's kind of, you kind of have to deal with like cleanups and stuff like that, set up and whatever. And I felt like, yeah, this is a great like mess free, but also portable way of if you are into painting or using water as a medium, you can, take this to go and do it at like your journaling meetups or do it cafe journaling or something like that. And you don't have, paints and stuff like that to clean up afterwards.
Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. I've been to that point, I've been thinking about teaching a class maybe next year. And if I'm doing watercolor, it's going to be messy. So I have to find
Yeah.
a way of how to make it less messy, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can make a mess, but it's more about preparation, right? A lot of a lot of the times with workshops, I will say, I've taught online workshops and I've taught in-person workshops.
Mm-hmm.
Online workshops are great because, it's like this, like people tune in, they learn something, they walk away with it. In person, you're connecting, right? In person, you're engaging with people. And a lot of times you sort of have to step back and think about like, if this was my first time trying this process,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of questions would I have? Do I need to slow down a little bit and take a few steps a little slower than maybe just demonstrating something online? And yeah, and then the mess too, right? It's like preparation. Like, how do I set this up so that people can touch things and get in there and really do the art? Um, but also taking into account your setting, right? Like you're at a hotel, you're in a nice workshop space, you're in a boardroom, right? How do
Mm-hmm.
we sort of contain this? And I think there was one or two workshops at least where the instructors took the students outside. I think it was like urban sketching type of things. But yeah, like you kind of have to think about setting and how you're going to do the art with like minimal sort of impact.
Right. Yeah, no, Alex, you have a point there. I'm not even considering ceramics, unfortunately, for the workshop, but very good point there. Not doing that, unfortunately. You have to have a studio for that fun.
Yeah. Yeah. But how do you bring like it's interesting, right? Like how do you bring your experience as someone who's worked with ceramics, as someone who uses and loves watercolors, paints, who has maybe a theme, like a vintage theme or something like that? Like how do you bring your experience and your aesthetics
Mm-hmm.
to a workshop setting, right? Or a workshop situation. Like there are
Yeah.
different ways you can apply it that you don't have to do the big thing that you do,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe there's something that's a part of what you do that makes sense for people to try at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, the only thing I can think of is like without having an actual kiln needed for that purpose. The only thing I'm thinking of is maybe talking about decorations, and brainstorming and sort of doing a little bit more like what you do in a way, but on an actual kind of piece and doing it with the specific porcelain paint that
Mhm.
doesn't need a kiln.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like, for example, how do you like what is your thought process? Like, how do you put together a palette? How
Hmm.
do you decide what colors goes into a palette? Like just it could be fundamental things where someone's like, I want to start using, watercolor palettes, or I want to start using certain products to paint with, right? And you could
Hmm.
break it down in terms of, well, this is what my experience has shown me, right? And putting
Hmm.
together a palette, or what do I take with me when I paint, and exploring that a little bit too.
Yeah, design your own charm.
Yeah. There you go. There was
Which is
at SFSF, there was a wax seal class with LCN,
oh,
the Taiwanese designer, and I was very tempted to take the class. I couldn't make it work, but Right? Like she had glue guns and stuff like that, where like you were actually playing around with making wax seals. And, obviously you have to be very, conscious of safety
Hmm.
and things like that. But maybe there's some sort of application there.
Yeah, no, I personally prefer an electronic furnace for it, but yeah, glue guns probably is a slightly better idea for that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, no, so many options. So, but there's like you have to be creative about it, right? You have to be. I'm also like I would love to take, I don't know, design your own sticker workshop or something like that, right? There are so many sticker people
Yeah.
at the Stationery Fest. And that's another thing. Like, I feel like at the pen show, you get a lot of freebie stickers.
Yeah.
They're like brand specific, but here there's like, I like this, whatever this theme is going on, right? Or whatever funny thing this sticker is about. And that was also the difference for me. And I was like, hey, I love freebies, but sometimes you want to choose your own sticker.
Yeah.
So that was the difference for me as well here, which segues into question because I am suspecting people might be a little confused between the definition. What is a stationery fest and what is a pen show? Because we are mostly in that pen show world. There are stationery fests. There is a Chicago stationery fest, from what I know, right? A couple of other ones. Chicago is like the biggest one, and then Yoseka
Mhm.
is sort
Yeah.
of stationery fest situation too. So for those people who are wondering, were there pens at the show? Like, what is the difference? How
Mhm.
would you explain?
I would also throw in there planner conferences.
Mm,
So Chicago being one of those hubs, it
I
has
don't know much about that stuff. So yeah,
yeah. So Chicago
I,
Planner Conference, Chicago Stationery. Is it called Stationery Fest? Maybe.
Chicago Stationery Fest, yes, it's sponsored or was started by one of the stores in Chicago. Not the one you're thinking, not Atlas. Atlas has a different thing altogether. That's the Atlas sidewalk sale.
Yeah. 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 And then there's the Chicago Pen Show.
Mhm.
Um, so I've been to one planner conference. It was in Toronto. And that was in 2023, 2022, 2023. I don't know, a while ago, a while ago. And that's actually where I met Karina in person for the first time.
Yay.
Karina loves to plan, who's also Canadian. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, we met at a planner conference for the first time. And I think it's probably because we both kind of come from a planner background. So I've been using planners for all my life since school, and we got free planners in school. And ever since then, I realized that planners were the only thing that would keep me organized and functional and sane. So planners was kind of the first thing. Stationery makes sense because you use stationery for planning and journaling and all the things. So after the planner conference, we both met up again at the SF Pen Show in
Yeah.
2023. So that was really fun. And like I said, I just Stationery Fest in SF was my first stationery fest. So
Was mine
uh,
too.
yeah, so I'm kind of coming at it like I haven't been to a lot of stationery events, and I also haven't been to a lot of planner conferences. But for sort of the one that I went to and the most recent Stationery Fest, and comparing them to pen shows. So for my take, pen shows are exactly what they're called, right? They're pen focused, so specifically fountain pens. And for me, pen shows are where I primarily look at modern maker and vintage fountain pens. I'm personally not so much a vintage pen collector,
Hmm.
but I love them. I love hearing the stories about, different kinds of pens, what years they're from, what they could have been, like what
And
kind of stories
actually
they might.
seeing them in person, which is interesting with vintage pens, what I like seeing them in person, I need to confirm the size of a pen because a lot of vintage pens are small, right?
Yeah,
Very interesting to see them in person.
yeah. I don't think I've seen a vintage pen that's as big as like some of the maker pens we see now.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Right? So that's kind of my approach to pen shows. Is I know that primarily I'm looking at fountain pens, and then secondary, I'm looking at the tools or the things that you would need to use a pen. So I'm looking at inks, and paper as well. So notebooks and all kinds of different, loose leaf and different types of papers from all over the world. And
Hmm.
that's kind of what a pen show is, right? It's international. Like it brings in vendors, it brings in attendees who are flying in, could be overseas, international, wherever, or driving, right? Doing road trips to get there. And it's kind of this collective experience that's based around pens, fountain pens. Um, and I have found, and planners, the planner conferences, just to kind of close that off, is primarily planners, right? So if you're into planning, there are planner communities out there. If you're into functional planning or the nice aesthetically pleasing planners, where we've kind of seen spreads and how to kind of lay out your planner to look really nice. And then also like bullet journaling, or if you're into just, using a notebook to keep yourself organized and intentional about the time that you're spending on things, the
Hmm.
tasks that you need to do, the appointments you need to go to. And that's what I have found a planner conference to be primarily about. Um, and pen shows around pens, and the difference I've seen between a pen show and Stationery Fest is it's sort of this, if you're into fountain pens, most likely you are into pen adjacent things. So again, paper, ink. You might be into, stickers or washi tape, ways to decorate your notebook or your journal. If you're using a fountain pen, what are you using it for? Are you using it for planners or planning? Are you using it in your journals? Because that is stationery, right?
Hmm.
So whatever journal you're using, that's part of stationery. And so I find a stationery fest is a little bit more general. It's a little generic in terms of what in stationery you're drawn to. And it doesn't have to be fountain pens, right? It could be you're a gel pen person, or
Hmm.
you use different kinds of markers, pencils, stuff like that. Um, and then I also found, just like based on my hauls from pen shows and the stationery fest, the things that I was purchasing or getting at the pen show was like pens and inks mostly. Whereas Stationery Fest, I saw pens, I saw a few fountain pens, but I walked away with lots of like paper products, and then the accessories. Like I am a sucker for washi tapes and stickers and stuff like that. Like you can get me with that stuff because they're like fun, cheery.
And then you'll have to tell us the story because you got something I had no idea existed until someone asked, and then you showed it in your whole video. The charm thing. That was really really fun. Uh,
Oh, yeah, the shaker
yeah,
charm.
so there were like people coming by. So if you haven't been to a stationery fest or a pen show, um, you can usually collect the stamps. So you can stamp in your booklets. And so they had this here as well. But there was something else people started asking us for as vendors. And it was, do you have a charm?
Yeah.
And I had no idea what that was.
Yeah.
And now I saw that all come together in
Yeah.
Carola's video.
Yeah. It's called a shaker charm. Charm shaker.
Can do two
And it's
things.
basically like this is your shaker, and then you have your charms. And there were, there were various vendors, not everyone, but various vendors who had their specific charm. So it was their logo or something that's related to their brand or their shop. And yeah, they had this, it was hosted by Pineberry, and they had a sheet that had like the different vendors and the charms that you could get. So I kind of went by visuals where I was like, I need the cute ones. And it so happened that, I have Amaria Stationery, I have Rickshaw Bagworks, I have Tokubetsu Memory,
Hmm.
and Kiss and Punch was another one where I got three because there's a unicorn, there is a cat, and there's a sheep. So I needed them. They were so cute. And what a great way of commemorating, an event like this. Like I got a generic shaker, so you could choose what, sort of shaker you want to put them in. And I got a generic one because then I can sort of keep this and I can use it and stuff like that. And I can take it to future events too. But they had one that it said specifically in 2026 stationery,
Mhm.
SF Stationery Fest or something like that.
And they
And
had the Golden Gate Bridge, and they had
yeah,
all the Victorian
right.
buildings that we're known for. Yeah, it was cute.
Yeah, yeah. It was also very big. I was
Oh
like,
yeah,
woo. But yeah,
but you
I
could probably fit all the charms in there.
yeah, yeah. I think it was like 15 or something like that. Like
Wow.
probably all of them, like you said.
Yeah.
Um, but I just thought it was such a cute, uh, you know, a lot of people, I'm not going to say a lot of people, but there are people who go to stationary events because of that cute factor. And I'm talking
Hmm.
about myself. Right? So,
And I feel like it's just a tiny little bit. You can get away with things just a tiny little bit cheaper in a
mhm,
way. So, like, imagine buying a pen for 100, or buying all the stickers, for like $80 or something
right.
like that. And the amount of things, you feel better about yourself because you got so many things. Like, I'm theorizing, obviously, but
Yeah. Yeah, it's also great for gifts, or, if you know people, friends, who are into stationery, it's a little bit more cost effective to get things for them at a stationary event
right.
than a pen show where it's like, wow, like I'm not buying you a $200 pen. Like I love you, but I'd rather get you like a bunch of stickers and like things that you can use in your books versus, something big.
Yeah, no, no, very good point, Alex.
Yeah, they're affordable. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was also the difference for me. There is also demographic wise, I feel I see people across the board as far as like age goes, or presumed age, right, goes. But here I did see a lot of like very, very young people,
Mhm.
which I think is, someone in high school. And that's what I'm talking about. And I feel like maybe even like if you're taking your kid, you're a mom, so taking your kid with you. And I've seen a lot of kids at my table, which brought me joy because they were like really interested in the palettes, and they were like,
Aw.
like touching. And it's just
Yeah.
like a very sensory, I feel like, experience, like, with clay for them as well. But it's just like not every little kid will be interested in the pen.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
might be easier, right, to take your kid with you and get them kind of a little bit more interested. But that's what I'm thinking. I don't know what you're thinking.
Yeah, yeah, and there are different themes of things too, right? Like I was drawn to the cute kawaii type of booths and tables and products, but I saw a lot sort of like, space themed stuff, stickers and things. I saw sort of like underwater creatures, octopus, that kind of stuff too, right? Like, so speaking about kids, depending on what they're really into, it's like you could buy like just a little few knick-knacky things for them, right? Like it's very cute and
Hmm.
useful stuff too.
Not gonna break your bank.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And Alex had a great point about supporting your favorite vendors, right?
Yeah.
Like if you could buy like a little cute charm, or some of them had like keychains or stuff like that. Like you don't have to go and buy like, a pen or something where you're like, oh, I want to support you, but I don't want to add to my collection of inks or pens or notebooks with
Mhm.
even more things I may not use. But if I can get like a little charm or something or sticker even, and support you that way, then, that's kind of great too. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I really like that one too. And then just like getting those high schoolers, from this level to the next level, which is fountain pens. That
Yeah.
is another kind of great purpose for these shows, because there were fountain pens there, just not a lot of them. It was very kind of like not overwhelming, which I
Yeah.
really liked about it.
Yeah. I really liked Lisa Van Ness was there,
Hmm.
and she brought ink samples and fountain pens to try. Like she had tester fountain pens. And a lot of people wanted to try like the Twisby Ecos, the Pilot Kakunos. And then kind of, once you're like, oh yeah, Twisby Eco is great, right? Like it's a
Yeah.
great fountain pen for daily use. And then all of a sudden you need ink samples, right? You got to fill up your pen. So if
Right.
there's a deal on like you can get 10 ink samples for what it would cost less, obviously, of getting bottles of ink, then why not, right? And that's kind of like you said, that's kind of their step into getting into fountain pens, and then ending up at the pen show, which is later this year. So, if they've kind of experienced a little bit, then um,
So what I did to get people interested in the fountain pens, let me see if I can find, well, I don't know. So I had this sort of little guest book for people
yeah,
to into and leave their, contacts.
with your cute charm,
Yeah, with my charm, and it says Aquamarina.
nice.
And so what I had two lamis. Two lamis. One
Nice.
was right-handed, the other one is left-handed.
Oh, okay, cool.
And so we could both be inclusive and mindful of that there are lefties, and but also it was so interesting to spread the word about fountain pens. I got a lot of signups. There was no one who, like declined the fountain pen. And I had the third option. I had like
Mhm.
ballpoint. So that was great. And yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Stationery Press is a gateway drug for the pen shows. It really is, and I think that's a great, 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 great point. Um, so what I did, I also was able to show to the lefties who are like, it's a struggle. Fountain pens are a struggle for lefties, and a lot of people have tried fountain pens but never realized there are left-handed options out there
Mhm.
for them.
Mhm.
And so we just had a conversation about that randomly, as they signed my book. And that was just like such a joy for me as well to experience that you can share that knowledge.
Yeah.
And there is an option. My sister-in-law is a lefty, and I was, like I was aware of that through her conversations with her. Scissors are like a huge struggle, for example, and things like that. And I just love seeing when people feel included.
Yeah.
And that is not, like fountain pens are not just, for this group of people. It's across the board.
Yeah, so I have twins, and one of them is a lefty. So and I've gotten them both into fountain pens with beginner, they love their preppies and other beginner pens. But yeah, it is something I had to think about for my daughter who's a lefty because, shimmer inks and inks that might smear or might take a little longer to dry. She's aware. She's aware that, the way she holds the pen and allowing things to dry a little bit and stuff like that. It makes you a little bit more aware too, right? As a person who sees lefties and how they use a pen to think about like, oh, okay, right? Like there are things that they have to take into account to experience pens the way that we do without really like second thought, right?
Right. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it is something that's I'm glad that you at least had the option, like lefties, if you want to use a pen that's specifically takes into account left-handed people versus just having a pen and people are like, well, this isn't the ideal experience for me. So
It's kind of like I made it a bit of a part of my brand in a way because so the palette you have, I have option for you can hold it in different ways,
yeah.
but I don't remember if yours was a right-handed or left-handed. Um, you could, so I sometimes make them like different orientation. So one would be like better, like anyone can use them, but if you want them specific orientation, sometimes it is easier for a lefty. So
Mhm.
I wanted to kind of give that option to people as well. And so it kind of felt natural to have an option with fountain pens.
Mhm.
But I also sort of wanted to see, if everyone in the this SFSF is familiar with fountain pens. And it was just, great to see that. I feel like people are very open to it. There were like two people who signed with their own pens, but it was nothing like, it was not like, oh, I don't want to do fountain pen. It was just like too slow to offer
Yeah, yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah, I did find I was talking to a few people, aside from people I know as friends, who, again, if you're into pen shows, you're most likely probably you're interested at least in a stationery fest or a stationery show. And then vice versa, if you're like, oh yeah, stationery show sounds great, sounds super interesting. There is, just like an introduction to fountain pens and the pen show through that stationary event. And yeah, not everyone who goes to a stationary show will then want to go to a pen show.
Hmm.
Because, like I said, a pen show is relatively specialized, especially the smaller shows where it's like, yeah, you'll have primarily fountain pen shops and brands, and also potentially vintage collectors or vintage pen people, and then makers. So independent, people in the community who make pens from scratch, and they have some sort of unique offering with their pens. And so, you and I both know lots of makers and lots of different pen brands and stuff like that. But not everyone who's into stationery, the general community, will know that, nor will they feel comfortable probably going to a pen show. But going to a stationery show where you and I are there, where we're kind of like, hey, introducing at least to fountain pens, and the different types of inks they can get, and the different types of paper you want to use with them. I feel like that's kind of a gentle way of getting them into.
Oh, I gotta show you something. So I had like the opportunity to swatch my paints and my table. And so someone used both the fountain pen and my paint to draw.
Nice.
It's so
Wow.
good.
Awesome. That's so good.
Yeah. So I feel like this is such a great use case of fountain pens and watercolor paint, which
Yeah.
made me very, very happy. I feel like that's one of those things where you and I were in the slightly different capacity, as just attendees. We're both doing something at the show. which was also kind of gratifying in the way of like interaction on a slightly different level.
Yeah.
But I feel like even if you're an attendee, then you just get to meet people randomly, even if you don't go to workshops. And that might lead to like connections, friendships that you would not expect there. And it's just like, so for my husband, he has never been to a stationery fest, he's never been to a pen show. It was his very first everything. He was just surprised. He's like, yes, it's crowds, but it's like my type of people, you know, it's
Hmm.
not like a crowd of strangers in a way. They are, but they're sort of, I don't know, it's just like so much easier to interact with, if that makes
Yeah, yeah. You have common ground with these
sense.
strangers, right? Like even if you've never met them before, you have a common ground with them. And I think that's what sort of gives us the connection.
I
I would hope so. I would hope
think
that if you
so,
love
yeah.
stationery, you love beautiful pens. But also in line with the workshops, it's good to mention that they had a lot of free events that you could also partake in. So journaling meetups.
Mm-hmm.
I went to 3 different ones. They were free. They were, lots of people were there and sharing their stationery too. So there were de-stash tables, which means someone who has things in their collection that they just don't use anymore, they
Mm-hmm.
can bring them to these meetups, and then someone else can sort of use that and take it home and try it out, right? It's a great way of trying different types of accessories like washi tapes and other things, um, without having to pay for everything, right? And it's also great for kids because then you don't have to buy, all the different things that they may or may not use. So journaling meetups were great. There were seminars, so like, 101s or where you can kind of learn to use different stationary things. And also again, like touching and feeling things. So
Mm-hmm.
the various meetups were really useful. And I hope they kind of continue with like just being able to step away from the show floor, and there's only so much you can buy, I feel like. Right? Like you can't, it's a 3-day show.
And the entry is not for free. That's another thing you have to keep in mind, which is you're already investing
Mhm.
into getting there. And I think it's a good investment. We can talk about that later as well. We should, I think. But also like that de-stash type of thing, where sometimes you don't even have to give anything of yours. You can just take
Mhm.
things.
Yeah.
That's already making that worth your, ticket money paid.
Yeah. Yeah. And I find that the stationary community, the pen community, everyone that I have come into contact with is really generous, right? They're willing to share what they're using, whether or not they're using it or not using it. So de-stash could be things that you're not using that you want to give new life to. And it could also be like you have a huge washi tape roll. You're not going to use it all because you have multiple rolls. Maybe you cut out strips of that, and other people can sort of sample those things. And I just find that the community is so generous in that way that they're
Hmm.
willing to share their own things too, to give to more people.
Yeah. And another thing I was thinking about, like just for me, after I was kind of researching, because several people, vendors were like, huh, San Francisco is actually the weekend pass is not that expensive. And I was looking at it, and it's true. Texas shows are much more expensive. I don't know about Chicago. I know it might be just a little nudge expensive, more expensive, but I think the last hours of the pen show, at least, you're able to get in for free,
Hmm.
which is like, we're going to talk about the strategies, I guess, there, but last hours are a gamble. People might not have anything left.
Yeah. We should
But
also talk
still
about
nice.
what you get with the weekend pass or VIP pass versus like if you just want to go to like a one day of the show. Because like you said, it's things that you have to think about in terms of, yeah, when you're budgeting for things that you want to buy at the show, but also if you're there, right? Like, how are you getting there? Do you want to be there for the whole weekend? So are you staying at the hotel, or, are you driving home if you're in the area and coming back? And then
And
also parking
that's
situation,
yeah.
right? How are you going to find parking? And then if you're only going for one day, yeah, which day do
Mhm.
you go for?
So here at the show, you had an option of getting a pass for all 3 days, which was $85. And then you would be able to get in really early. So, and Fridays are worth it. People just put their merch out, and you're able to get everything you wanted, you were looking
Mhm.
at, which is if you're into what we call the cults, just travelers.
Not me.
Yep. So if you're
Definitely.
into something that is extremely popular, this might be kind of a moment for you, because a lot of times these places have, sure, they have exclusives, but for example, Travelers has things that they don't normally sell or don't sell anymore in their stores. And yeah, I have a couple of things I'll definitely show so you guys know what I mean. So in that case, it might be really worth your time investing and money investing in that, and then you can just come back to take a class with Carola later, right? Or you're like thinking about something and you come back and it's still there, you can get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are different ways of like doing things, and then there's general admission, which is, I think here was 11 to 5 p.m.
Mhm.
11 to 5.
Yeah. It was around that.
And Friday was a little more expensive. It was like $40 or something like that.
Mhm.
And then Saturday, we saw so many people. It felt actually more busy than the pen show on
Yeah.
Saturday. I don't
Yeah.
know what was your
I
impression?
That's interesting because I felt like it was busy, but not busier than the pen show.
Mm,
Um, but that could be because I looked at it from like in specific time slots. So not
right.
overall. If
General admission was cheaper. It was like
Yeah,
$20.
yeah.
I think that's also why,
Yeah, I
potentially.
think overall traffic, there probably was more traffic at the Stationery Fest than
Hmm.
the pen show. Um, but I felt like, and we can talk about our experience, like just what we sort of walked away with, and our feeling of, Stationery Fest and pen show. But in general, I felt like there was enough of a stream of people that I didn't get sort of clogged up in the hallway or something like that and just couldn't move for a while. And I felt like the pen show had aspects of that where, depending on where you were, sometimes it was just impossible to move past
Oh,
someone because they had stopped to look at something, and you're like, okay, now I'm going to wait behind you until you're done. And I didn't feel like that at the Stationery Fest. I felt like there was enough space to maneuver, even at the busiest,
hmm.
sort of Saturday, just as the general admission doors opened. Um, and you kind of had that initial stream of people coming in, which of
Right.
course, like, yeah, that would be busy. But even then, you know, it was really busy. But again, I kind of felt like I could get past people and tables if I had to.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. So I was attending. You and I met for the first time at Seth Pen Show last year. So I was like mostly as just a regular attendee,
Mm,
but I was kind of with my friend Tori at her table from time to time. And I feel like the difference here was people are lingering more at the pen show, just like staying,
yeah.
looking at that pen for a very long time. Again, purchases are more expensive.
Yeah.
And when you make such an investment, and we're talking about, $100 pens, you've been looking for that Pelican M800, like
That one.
that one, the one I'm looking for is burnt orange. So say, or I don't know what else is there. The gardens, they were like some great palace. Oh, that's a nice one. It's a really beautiful pen. and you are just looking at that one swirl and comparing it to the other blank
Yeah,
that
turning
has
it
a slightly
over.
different swirl. And so you are there for a while. And
Mhm.
while here, people were like, I love, I saw this on Instagram. I love this specific sticker. I'm taking it and moving on.
Yeah, I felt like probably what took a while at tables was the stamping. So,
Yeah.
if you wanted to walk around and get stamps in your journal or your book, that probably took, a little bit longer. But I did that as well on Saturday because I did my shopping on Friday. And then on Saturday, I was like, you know what? I'm going to walk around, get my stamps, pick up a few things for friends at home, um, buy a couple of things for my kids. And that's kind of, and then I had a workshop. But aside from that, like I just wanted to experience the show. And I didn't feel super overwhelmed at any part of that. There were, when it was really busy, I was like, I'm just going to step away because I've done Friday. There are people here on Saturday who this is their only day to do their shopping. And of course, they're going to, mill around and look at things. And so maybe it's my time to kind of step away and let them have their
Yeah.
time.
I mean, not everyone can take a day off on a Friday to come out and shop. That's another, I
Yeah.
feel like, why Saturday is busier.
Mhm.
Actually, Sunday morning, I made so many sales in the morning. And I feel like that was another interesting factor because I feel like if you were there on Saturday and it was busy, and you have the pass for 2 days or 3 days. On Sunday, which is the last day of the show, you know what you want. So you come in and you get that thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was not only my experience. I'm sure there were
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, or if you're like me and you found out late into the show that there was a show ink and other things, then yeah, that's what I was doing Sunday morning. I was like, oh no, I need to get the show ink because it's so pretty. And yeah, like last minute, maybe you met someone on Saturday who's like, yeah, did you try this? Like, did you see this here at the show? And you get enabled that way.
Mhm.
You're like, yeah, maybe I should pick that up. And um, but it does kind of make sense that Sunday mornings would be pretty busy as people also get ready to leave, right? If you were there for all 3 days, maybe like I left mid-morning. So it depends how you're getting home and your plans. But I feel like people probably sort of closed off their experience with maybe one last time on the show floor and then head
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to address this one last question before we move on to our holes. All right. Marina, how did your husband enjoy his first show? Was he a bit overwhelmed or was it as he expected? I don't know if he had any expectation. I don't think he did. I think what he wanted to meet my friends, which is Carola, Tori, Galen from Fountain Pendulum. Um, so I think he was very like, you guys were the first people. We had a dinner with you the first night when we arrived,
You
and
wanted seafood.
yeah, we did some there's a very good seafood and lobster place near the venue, that's walking distance. And so we did that. He hang out. He kind of got like, he was like easing into it through you guys, because like when you meet actual people, and I guess that is my own tip. That's what I did. My first night I had at this SF bench show last year, I had dinner with you and a bunch of people, and I also met Karina there. It was a way of easing yourself in, and out of that anxiety of like unknown.
Mhm.
So my speculation is that probably helped him too, just meeting you guys and feeling comfortable and feeling like, hey, this is my crowd. These
Yeah.
are sort of paper, pen, and everything else nerds. So he's in academia and he teaches, and I think lots of us are introverts, him including, but because he is used to people
Mhm.
might have helped him too a little bit.
Yeah, being around people. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was totally peopled out by the end of it. It was like,
As all of us are.
oh, look at that. So Chris is like,
Yeah.
well, people just resisted, and
Yeah.
then they're like,
Yeah. That's probably part of it too.
that's budgeting too, because some people just budget and they're like, okay, I have this much left.
Yeah. Yeah. Or also at the pen show, at least on the last day, some of the vendors, they don't want to take all their inventory back. And so they'll kind of have the deals like buy two, get one free, or, buy three for X amount. So if you do have budget left, it's kind of a nice time to be like, well, maybe I can get 3 inks. Why not?
Why not get that show special?
Yeah.
All right. So
You got that tote. I love that. I got this tote.
I was talking about last day purchases.
Yeah.
I wanted this one. So if you guys are not familiar, so San Francisco has these grandfathered and old book places, and Green Apple Books. It's far away from me, but I know it. There are a couple of bookstores. They're still around, and Green Books are one of those stores, and I really wanted one.
Nice. Haul alert. Here come the haul. Here come our haul. Show us.
Oh no. Okay, I'll start. So there will be things I will not show because you'll have an incentive to look at my video over the weekend that's coming. But I think the one thing we have in common with Carola, so when you and I met, I think it was the evening of the Friday, and I was like, I got this from Travelers, and you're like, you got exactly the same things, because we both have not really seen them sell these things anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So one of those things is like this leather sleeve. So how do you use it?
Yeah. I got the same one, but in Passport.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how do you use it? For those who don't know.
Are you asking me, or are you going to tell us?
I'm asking you.
So, it's part of it is because it's a leather product. So if you're into Travelers, then you probably like the feel of leather. You like the luxury of it. It also, it will last a long time. I like it because aside from the coffee cup, the design of it is just like minimal, but very just classy. I like tucking this into the back of my TN cover. So it just kind of sits in the back. It's not bulky, right? It's very thin. Yeah. And I just tuck things into that. So it could be sticker sheets. It could be receipts. It could be, depending on how you're using your Travelers cover, sort of fits those extra loose pages and stuff like that. But you could tuck this into any sort of cover or notebook, even into the back, and use it that way. So
nice. Yeah. So why I ended up doing this, because I got the exactly same you have. So if you guys are familiar, Travelers also sells these see-through like stickers that it's like a corner sticker.
Mm-hmm.
That is sort of like you put that inside the cover, and then you can put your stuff in there, whatever you have, tickets, Emperor. And it was always bugging me that it's see-through, because I sort of, some things I want to be, anonymous or private or whatever, right? And so that's what I put the leather thing in there, and I put all the things inside. Yeah. And that way it just like makes me happy.
Yeah, it's sort of tucked in, private. You can also pull this out if you're traveling or something, or if someone wants to look at your TN and you're like, well, there's information I don't want to share. Take it out and you're good to go, right?
Yep.
Well, yeah.
All right. Next up,
What else?
the
Yeah, insert.
California
Yeah,
insert, which
yeah.
I love. You can buy these online, but they do frequently go out of stock.
Mhm.
And there are two new ones that are super limited. I think this is a record store in LA that had these.
Yeah, yeah. I got those too.
Yeah, those are fun. Really,
Yeah,
really fun. I like this one. Just this is my eye aesthetic.
yeah,
And this one is just fun. It's like,
yeah,
rebellious.
yeah. Yeah, it's just fun. And apparently they were sold online and then they sold out for a while, but they might actually be back on the TN online store if you're interested. But yeah, I saw them at the event and I was like, you know what? This is like a nod to California, to LA. And um, I love anything related to music too. So,
Yes, because you have a music background of your own.
mm,
So another thing, and that's my question because I don't know. I'm new to these things. I'm not in the planner community. Is you have these special items that you can only buy like one off or two off, and those two that I just showed, they were like you only allowed to buy two on the website. Question: when you're doing this in person, are you able to say, I just purchased two of these online and I'm like, I need to stock up? Are you able to purchase two more at the show? Okay.
yeah, as far as I know, there were certain things I don't know if there were items that were limited to, one or two per person. There may have been. Um, but the things I was looking at, I didn't see a limit to purchasing an amount in person.
Mm-hmm.
So, you could potentially buy for other people who couldn't make it to the show and really wanted that one thing.
Yeah.
So now now I want the record store
It's
insert.
a very cool one. I really like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got it because, it is very cool. And also just the connection to where we were, California and stuff. But after, yeah, I was showing this, I went through all of my haul on my Twitch stream on Monday, but I was showing it to, on my stream. And there were a few people who were like, "Whoa, that is so cool." And I was like, you know what? I didn't even think of like I just wanted to have different inserts from different events and from different places that when I eventually, like, I do use all my inserts at some point, but when I do eventually use something like this, it's a nod, right? Like it brings me back to where I was, where I got it from, and it's just that nostalgic factor as well.
Time and place. And I feel like that's why a lot of these places do these, specials, right? They're show specials. And I'm sure people have heard, like, I don't know, special inserts, special covers, and, things. And also things that are out of stock. Like the one thing that they don't have in stock anymore was the collaboration Blackwing, I think,
Mm.
pencils in them. And you can still buy that at the show, but not online. So,
Yeah, they did bring a few covers with them of like different uh releases that they had. Yeah.
mhm. Which is, yeah, another like reason to go to the show. All
Yeah.
right, and then we got the stickers.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge sticker person, but I used to work in aviation for many years. I had a career of like 5 years in aviation. So for me, Pan Am is like legendary for many reasons. And they have not had these in stock since, well, when were they released? Like 2015, 14?
Something like that probably.
So when I saw them, I was like, "Oh my god! I've only ever seen these online," and so I had to get some. Again, reason to go to the show.
Yeah.
And you got a different one. I think you got
Yeah, I
this
was just looking
different.
to see if it said a year on it, but it doesn't. So,
Oh,
yeah.
check it in the back. I think in the back
Yeah,
it's
it's kind of
might have. No, it doesn't. You're right.
only I could read
Oh,
Japanese.
you know what? It actually does. It has in front on that little paper inside. 2014.
Oh, yeah, copyright. Okay. 2014. Yeah.
So that
There
is
you go.
blast from the past.
Yeah, very cool. And I haven't seen these online since. Like, yeah.
Well, I think the blue cover was how, I don't know exact story, but I think the blue cover, traveler's cover, very popular, like from their regular line. This is what they first kind of started it with the Pan
Mhm.
Am. I
Mhm.
think so.
Yeah, and there probably are places where you could get things like this as well. Like maybe if you're traveling to Japan and the various TN stores there, but
Yeah.
for people like, you and me, where we're kind of located in a part of the world where we may not be able to access uh, limited edition and old stock. It's nice that they bring it to the show with them.
Yep. Oh, talking about that. So Plotter and Travelers are essentially the same company. Um, but they also, Plotter brought some really, really fun leathers with them. And they had a cocktail hour beforehand where you could like browse and stuff like that. And then that's what I did. I looked at things, and then Friday morning, they still have one item left. I'm not gonna open it, but it is a limited edition
Ooh.
from the Tokyo store,
Yeah,
and you'll see
very
what it
nice.
is over the weekend.
Yeah, very nice. I someone who had gone to the cocktail hour and got a cover showed it to me, and it was a mini five. And it was from the Tokyo store, and I was like, oh,
Oh, the
so
blue
nice.
one. Yes.
Yeah, the blue one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm probably mispronouncing it, but it's a Karuzan material or
Hmm.
Karuzan. But yeah, it's beautiful, like nice and shiny, and so.
Oh, I was excited to touch the Horween, I think the Chicago-based leather
Oh,
company cover, and just to look, and you can take a look how like how it looks over time, how the patina is evolving, and like because some leathers, I have to be honest, are either too thin for me. I do not like, I don't mind scratches and stuff like that, but like it just changes color slightly
mhm.
over the time. And sometimes it's just, I like it new better than I like it aged.
Right. Yeah. It's your aesthetic. And also Horween is the leather that they use for making baseball gloves, right?
Hmm.
So it's that, like, when you see a baseball glove that's been broken in, right? It's used over and over and over. It has
Hmm.
that really nice feel to it, smell to it too. Right? And they're mimicking that with cover.
And it's also something that will last you because it is kind of made for
Yeah,
performance.
it's sturdy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really wanted to see that in person. I like it. I
Yeah.
do like it,
Mhm.
maybe one day.
I was tempted by it, and I was like, "I don't need more covers, stop it."
Yeah, it's
Next
a
year.
pretty color.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what did you guys get from Plotter? Did you get anything?
You know what? I was good this year. This show. Because last year at the California Pen Show in February, I got my purple square. It was a limited show cover. And so I got that, and I love it. And then the Plotter team gifted me the mini five in the red
Mhm.
brown leather. And this is what I've been using as my EDC planner. So I'm happy with it. I didn't want to get another cover that would tempt me to move away from this, because this is what I want to keep using and get that really lovely, smooth patina look,
Right.
right? So I just want to kind of play with this. But what I did get was inserts. So they brought, again, from their Tokyo flagship store, they brought a few items with them that are specific to that store. So one of them was this 1 millimeter grid paper. um, Not necessarily so that you could write within the grid. That's just crazy. 1 millimeter is too small, but it's a blue grid, and it's a very subtle, guide to if you're doing hand lettering similar to this, right? if you're doing calligraphy or hand lettering or something where you kind of just you need a little bit of a guide so that you're writing in a straight line, but you don't necessarily want the lines to distract you from
Hmm.
your practice. So I thought that was kind of interesting and also just something handy to have. And just the other thing too, they had paper dividers.
Right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like a really cool design. There's
Yeah,
five of
I
them that
didn't realize they had them, and by the time I did, it was like too late. I'm not gonna go stand in line again.
yeah.
I
Project
have to
manager
address these.
folders, just like things that I found were useful, right?
Okay, so Marina, you're now sold on Plotter. I'm not sold on any of these things. I'm like skeptical of all of these. That's like what I'm like. I see them as cults, not in the bad way, but just like, there's an attraction. There's a certain attraction some brands, ways of things have. And I'm just like a little skeptical, but let me like if anyone here has seen my last video of Plotter M5, the Mini 5,
Mhm.
there is a usefulness to that thing. And I will have an updated video. But right now, I filmed that video before going to the show. And it's been almost a month of me having that small thing of a plotter. And let me tell you, it is extremely handy for like on the go notes, keeps you organized. There's a great to-do list. Like even my shopping is in there, my wallet is in there.
Yeah.
And that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
I don't know about other formats. I looked at them and I thought about it, and I just thought I don't see them as useful for myself.
Yeah. I got a card cover. So there were a few things that I got to add to my Mini 5 to make it more like, I could potentially use it as a wallet, or if I'm carrying this around
Mm-hmm.
at shows and stuff. Yeah, it would be so handy to have my credit card here or whatever I kind of needed so
Your
that all I needed
card.
was, yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm just carrying this and I have my phone, I have this, I'm good, right? So those are some things that I thought were very useful to have.
And then going back to like Travelers versus Plotter, I use both still, but for
Yeah.
me, Travelers is a longer format situation. Like I would journal in it versus Plotter. Plotter has a different functionality. It's like a different product essentially for
Mhm.
me. I
Yeah.
think if unless you have A5 or
Mhm.
Bible,
Which
maybe.
I do.
I don't
Yeah.
really see myself journaling. So it's like the good thing about especially Mini 5 is that you tear out those pages like or take them out really easily.
Yeah.
And that is great for on the go. If you really want to sit down and journal, I would probably still would prefer kind of traveler situation, in the
Mm. Yeah. I do
people are
think,
different.
yeah, I do think even for me, just like you said, I approach them in different ways of use cases.
Right.
So yeah, you can use a plotter for creative journaling and things like that. And Traveler's Notebook, I have seen people use them as planners.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's kind of, the opposite. TN is more of a creative space for me. And the plotter is more of a functional space for me because I can remove things I don't
Mm-hmm.
need, recycle the paper, it's out of my life. Or I can move them around and use them as reference. So, for example, for Stationery Fest, I had notes, right? I had my schedule, I had
Mm-hmm.
notes of my wish list, things I wanted to find, and I could easily carry the M5, the Mini 5, and use it, as I was walking around trying to like look for my
Mm-hmm.
list and stuff and have it right there. It's just kind of funny that Alex said you two are selling me on Plotter. We're not affiliates with Plotter.
Not affiliate, no.
I would love to be one because I could sell this all day. I just find it so useful and practical that, I could tell you all the different ways that you could use it and stuff. But yeah.
Carola, I think this is for you. This question is for you. Can you use
Oh, yes.
also the Filofax mini inserts in a plotter?
Yeah, I did see that question, and I took out my Mini 5 because these are Filofax inserts.
Oh,
Yeah, so the weekly, actually, Filofax sizes, even though they may be called different things compared to plotter, the sizes match up. So the Filofax inserts work perfectly in the Mini 5 because plotter does not have weekly inserts for the Mini 5. They only have monthly inserts.
tiny ones. Yeah, I have it somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. So I have the monthly. It's just simple. Um, but I wanted to get weekly just for the scheduling and stuff like that to make this useful for me. But
Yeah.
so yeah, you can.
And what I would advise anyone, because that's what I did, just set up your eBay alerts. Try a used one because that's how I got mine. Someone just didn't want it. And that way, maybe you get a better price. I did.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like such an investment. And yeah, you can just try it out. And then if it doesn't work, you can just sell it on, move on.
Yeah, I've seen within the community too, people will get a cover and then at some point they decide like maybe this isn't the size for me or, and then they'll resell it with like inserts and refills and stuff. So that's also possible. Yeah.
Like for me, I know narrow is not what I will consider. It's just not for me.
Yeah, I personally like sizes that are somewhat universal. And the narrow size, I just find it hard to find refills for. I do like that the size is similar to a Hobonichi Weeks. So if you're used to that kind of sizing for planning and stuff, I like that. But I just found that if I was going to try and source different refills for it, it would be more difficult than finding, for example, like the Bible size, which is a personal size in universal sizing. So, and you can find tons of refills for that. So,
You should
yes.
tell Plotter. You should tell Plotter. You got them a client.
Amazing. Awesome. Yeah.
No, man. Yeah, no. I feel like, yeah, so I watch so many videos. That's another thing. You watch a lot of videos. And so a lot of videos, plotter videos you have a lot of them. You made a
Yeah.
lot. So you're a big authority in that. And then someone just left a comment the other day under my Mini 5 and you're like, it's the first one I've ever seen. Like, I don't see a lot of videos on Plotter, which I think that is a thing. It's mostly travelers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. There are way more Travelers Notebook videos out there. Also because Travelers has been around for, a long time. And they're universally accessible as well. So that's, one thing about Plotter is that they are a Japanese brand. They're, widely used and known in Japan. And they're available in the Western market, they're available through Plotter USA. And so if Plotter USA doesn't ship to your country or to, wherever you are, then trying to source a plotter might be tougher, right? You might have to get it secondary or go to a show or something like that. And then you're factoring extra costs. So yes, we have to be a little aware that we may be lucky in that way. And even me being in Canada, if I were to order things from the Plotter USA site, I'm thinking about shipping costs, which tend to be higher if you're shipping into Canada. And so for me, if I can get to a stationery fest or a pen show where Plotter tends to go to, then I can stock up, right? And that's where I usually get all the refills that I want, Plotter specific stuff. But then, yeah, being able to get Filofax inserts, and then other retailers kind of have different types of paper as well that you can use.
Yeah, yeah. And Plotter has very good paper. I feel like they do.
Very good paper. Yeah. So, Plotter and Travelers Company and Midori all share the same parent company, Designfill. And so Plotter paper, it's called DP. So
Mm-hmm.
Design Fill paper.
Mm-hmm.
And because their parent company is Design Fill, and Midori, we know, has amazing paper, right? Travelers Inserts, they sometimes use Midori cream paper, and the lightweight paper, which is Tomoe River paper or something similar. Great paper again. So it's a paper company, right? In terms of providing good fountain pen friendly paper.
Better than Mont Blanc. That I can tell you. Yeah, shipping
Yeah.
to US, shipping
Yeah.
from US to Japan. Well, you need a friend, so get in touch with me. I'm going to be traveling to Europe again this summer, so you never know. Get a friend.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Awesome. I see Alex's question. What size Filofax inserts fit the Mini
yeah,
5? It's called Mini.
mini.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but don't get confused. This is how I got my mini 5 cheaper, because the story is someone ordered themselves mini 5, but all the inserts they had ordered were mini.
Yeah, because the inserts that they would have gotten are actually called pocket. So Filofax has sort of universal sizing, whereas Plotter uses Japanese terms or sizing. And so Japanese Bible size, or what they call Bible size, is actually personal size
Mm-hmm.
in universal sizing. So if you're going with Filofax inserts or refills, you want to get personal size for Bible size plotters. You want to get pocket size for mini 6 plotters, and you want to get the mini size for mini 5 plotters.
Yeah, and so the difference
It's
are
confusing.
count of rings. So I've gotten inserts for mini 5 but square, and I'm using them in my mini. So and
Mhm.
it's fine because you fold the paper. So it's like it still works. But when the ring size is different, that's when your trouble begins.
Yeah, yeah,
It's the most.
yeah.
The
And
ring count and well sizes doesn't matter but count.
yeah, and I still, sometimes if you're buying from a smaller shop or smaller brand, I would always look at the sizing just because of that. Like maybe the ring sizing is a little bit different that they're looking at or using. And yeah, that might throw you off a little bit.
Chris is enticing me in German to be friends. So yeah, so I think on that note, the last thought I had, and I watched a lot of videos, and that's another kind of my suggestion personally. Watch a lot of YouTube videos. Watch Carola's video. She has a lot of good videos. And you are an enthusiast, but again, you're not sponsored by them.
I wish.
You are pretty good at like telling like exactly what the drawbacks are, or like, and you have the leathers that you have are very different, which is important too, because I feel like a lot of people have exactly the same Pueblo leather, which is it's a great leather. I enjoy
Yeah,
it.
I
But
know
if
it's great.
you are considering a different leather, sometimes it's hard to find,
Yeah.
a video on it. So just figure out, like, watch as much as you can. So for me personally, I'm only interested in 2 sizes: mini 5, which is great for my wallet, and A5,
Mhm.
which would be good for like paperwork and like stuff like that, and it's bigger format. The drawback for A5 for me is that, but there is a purpose. So there's a purpose in having 11 millimeter rings, which is not a lot.
Mhm.
And people will find that especially kind of hard. Not hard with mini 5. I think this is
Mhm.
exactly what you need for mini 5.
Mhm. Yeah.
A5
Yeah.
might be, like you need to think of like buying that binder,
Yeah.
separately, and then you're going to be storing your stuff in there.
Yeah, that's a good point, especially if you're used to sort of that file of facts. You can put a lot of paper in there. You can have everything, in your binder. But if you're
Mhm.
talking about Plotter, one of the main ideas behind Plotter is minimalism, like not
Right.
having everything in your, it's so overwhelming to have like all of the things in your binder. What are you trying to find in there, right? And how easy is it to find it? And so the idea behind the slim binder is you only carry what you need, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's something that's calming about that kind of system. And even with a mini 5, like, yeah,
Right.
I would love to carry, more things, maybe make more lists, but do I need that? Like, do I
No.
need that to carry with me all
And
the
it feels
time?
fresh and it feels like a new thing all the time because you remove those to-do lists, And I think this is a great idea for you, Corolla, for a video.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a video that, not this one. This is a great idea. But I do have a video that talks about the differences in use case for plotter versus a traveler's notebook. So
Mhm.
I find that that's kind of the biggest question I get is every time I talk about, like, I do planner videos where, an update on how it's going with my planners and journals. And I use both plotter systems and traveler's notebook systems. But again, for different use cases. And the biggest question is like, how could you use both systems in different ways? Like, what is the usefulness, the positives, the, things like that. So they are different. They're different. If you're using a plotter, it does not mean that a traveler's notebook is also, useful to you,
Mhm.
and vice versa. If you're using a traveler's notebook, you may not like plotter rings.
Right. I mean, there's also a price difference, let's be
Yeah.
honest, between
Yeah.
those two. And you know, I think it looks good. And again, I also have Paper Republic. I think Paper Republic looks good. I would love to invest in the more expensive covers that are not, like the Voyager. It's great, but it's a little flimsy. I would like the
Mm.
pockets. I would like that, most recent one. What was it? I don't remember, but you can stack a lot of books in there.
Mm.
I would love those, but those are an investment, and those are as expensive as plotter A5s and like very fancy leathers.
Yeah, and I would say similar to what we haven't talked about yet is rotor fodden, right?
Oh, we haven't. Yeah,
Yeah, and I don't have one, but
looks
I'm very,
good.
very tempted in trying it because I was talking to Joe at the Gentleman Stationers. He had a table with Lisa Vaness at Stationery Fest, and he was showing off his rotofoddins in different sizes, and I love the idea of the clips to hold the notebooks in place, and so you can easily take the notebooks out as you're using them, put them back in, and then have this cover as sort of a portfolio or housing for your various notebooks. So I love the concept. I love the idea. I love that it's so unique, but also the
Hmm.
quality of the materials, right? We're talking German quality, like,
Hmm.
and leather, right? Like, if you're into this sort of luxury, I would say, because they are pricey.
They
Um,
are. Yeah.
If you are into the luxury leather products, that's another one that, I would take a look at.
Yeah. Now there's so many good options out there, and
Mhm.
oh God, it's just that's another thing you have to think of. Like, how many, notebooks do you want to stash?
Yeah, for sure. And the one thing I would keep in mind, it's sort of a joke maybe that people sort of say, like, how many plotters do you need? Or how many traveler notebooks covers do you need? You only need one, if we're being honest,
Right.
right? Or you may need multiples because of the sizing.
Yes, I was
But
say. Mm-hmm.
at the same time, these are systems, like, think of them as an investment in terms of year over year over year use, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
no limit to how long you can use these covers compared to like a Hobonichi planner, right? Which is for 1 year unless you redate
Yeah.
or use it in a way that you can get multiple years out of, aside from their like 5 year journals. But covers are essentially like a lifetime
Mm-hmm.
buy, right? So yeah, you can use a cover, get out of it, transition into a different cover, maybe by season, or maybe half a year you're using one cover, half a year. And a lot of us in planning or journaling or stationery in general, we like new. We like new. We like different. We like to change things up. We like to be in control of, being able to jump from
And
thing
I'll
to
tell you
thing.
what, there is also, if you are conscious of how much you're spending, I think it's also the way of refreshing and without like buying a paper pack
Yeah.
for your cover that you love is not as expensive as keep on buying a new cover. And this is why I love Travelers, but they have those new releases with like,
Mhm.
this and that. And that is expensive. And
Yeah.
I'm very happy we have coined the term cult. But that's also kind of like, my mentality is I'd rather have one nice thing and use it and quality and like have it for a long time and be happy with it than constantly be buying, you know, cheaper stuff. Like there is nothing wrong with Hobonichi, but I've never bought any. It's just not, it's
I
that release and a
Yeah.
lot of things every year. It's kind of like, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. I've used Hobonichi planners and journals over not that long, but I think there were 4 years or so that I was using. I love the week size. I love. I have a 5 year diary from them that I'm in my third year of using. So, I use Hobonichi products, but in terms of covers, their covers are very expensive.
Mm,
And like you said, every year there's a whole offering of different covers you can order. um, and they are not cheap. They're very expensive. They do use leather aspects to some of their covers, and so that can be very pricey. So you can get cheaper covers from Hobonichi, but the material is not going to be the same as like a
right.
plotter or a
I
PN.
was about to say it's almost too many choices. That's
It's Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what your budget allows, I guess. If you're taking, we should take our budget into consideration, but if that's a consideration for you, and also the type of materials, not everyone is into leather. And so if you're looking into alternatives for that, at least that's available. But you know, yeah, it's like a yearly thing, and Hobonichi planners are also not super cheap anymore, right? Like again, it's like a planner, a dated planner or journal
mm,
that will last you for a year unless your purpose is to use it for more than 1 year. And it's not cheap. So it's a yearly investment you're making.
yeah. And I think this is a good point that Alex brings. I think of Plotter as a business organizer and Travelers as a journal. So I think
Mhm.
to that point, I think Plotter is just very presentable.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Yeah.
And like that's like if I'm in academia, if I'm a
Mhm.
lawyer, having a plotter out in A5, it just looks good. And also like it allows you the project managers that you showed. I think
Mhm.
that is such a brilliant idea. It allows you to keep things confidential. You're organized. These things are confidential that you're
Mhm.
working on, especially important for lawyers, psychologists,
Mhm.
therapists. You can keep those things private, and
Mhm.
then you also swap them out, and you have those binders and your cases,
Yeah.
whatever you're working on, it just goes from a beautiful leather binder to your regular binder. And I think that is the appeal. There's
Yeah.
specific people this is geared towards,
Right.
while Travelers is just a wider range of people, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And they have, travelers notebooks. You can get different designs on the front and stuff. Whereas with Plotter, it is very simplistic, right? Especially if you get like the black leather one, very
Mm-hmm.
classy, very nondescript. It doesn't scream out, creative,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But if you're in those types of careers or settings where you want to go with something a little bit more minimal, something that doesn't attract a lot of attention and shows you as more of a professional, then Plotter is great. And then the traveler's notebook could be more for like, when you want to do journaling at home, or you want to do the fun stuff that you don't necessarily need to share with everyone.
And I think the good thing is also it only gives you an option of elastic. You don't have to have that elastic because not everyone likes it. And that's what you get with plotter. You buy that insert that has that closure opportunity, but you don't have to have it. And I like that.
Yeah.
Because especially with travelers, a lot of people have like problems with that not being in the back and like writing over it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's so many options out there.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
You don't have to buy all of them. Please don't buy all of them unless, you're able to. And
unless you want to start a collection.
For you.
But yeah. Yeah.
All right. So some of the last things I want to show you guys are the awesome person that let me do a pop-up at her table is Galen from Fountain Pendulum. And Carola and I got a thing from her that is exactly the same but different colors. And that was so fun.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So you got a spoon too. And people I feel like that was the question people kept on asking at our table. They're like, what is this for?
Yeah, the spoon, the infamous spoon. What is a spoon for?
So it was hand blown in California. And it was a very special little find. So like you can see, it looks like leaded glass in there. Like it's great.
Very cool. Yeah, I like yours.
So what is it for, Carola?
Well, one of the main things you can do with this is ink swatching. So you have a more tapered end, rounded end here, and you have this wide, spoon shape that can apply your ink and spread it around your paper. So, if you want to swatch your fountain pen inks, you can use this side and kind of just do a simple sort of swatch strip. Or you can move it around your paper and just kind of explore that ink a little bit. And I've used this already a few times because I got a couple of inks at the show. And it's a great way of kind of this, you can wash it, or, it's very easy to clean off. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to use a dip pen or something like that.
Or your actual spoon that you eat.
Or actual spoon. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
that one.
Yeah, I have kids. They use spoons like it's nothing. So this is one of those things that's like, this is my ink spoon. Do not use it.
Aww. Well,
and I got a mini one too. So
that's a good point.
Like so general.
Yes. So that's a good point, because when you look at their website, you'll know they're in Canada, and that's a good way of having people come out to the shows, because you get our Canadian friends over at the show.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
All right. So, is there anything else you would like to show?
Do you have anything else?
You know what? I'm going to show some paper.
Okay, let's do it.
I don't remember if you had some, but Yamamoto paper.
Mm-hmm. I didn't get any of those. Yeah.
But it is very good. I tried it at the table. I got a bigger journal that apparently was like a paper of last year. It's like they got like an award of some sorts for the whole year.
Was it for the Canopus?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's their, yeah.
And so that was like a journal that I bought for my husband's co-worker who's into fountain pens.
Nice.
And because I told him, like, I'm going to select something. And Yamamoto do not come to the States often. So they are one of those Japanese vendors who would like come out once or twice a year.
Right.
So you get that variety. And so I got him a notebook, and then I'm like, wait a minute, I want to have something for myself. So I got myself a little thing of it, and it's a very, very good paper.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a Canopus notebook that I got at the SF Pen Show last year. Great paper.
Aw, look at that.
Amazing.
Like, we didn't mean to linger on that topic, but it just
Yeah.
happened.
But this is why covers will last you forever.
Yep. So, is there anything else you would like to show us, Carola? Because
Oh,
our
so the
purchases
thing,
are different.
yeah, the things I got, similar to you, some of the things. But other things I'm very excited about is while I did not get a plotter cover, I did get a traveler's notebook cover.
Ooh.
So this is the Love and Trip red cover in passport size because I actually I was able to resist getting one of these covers when it was launched. Was it 2 years ago now? In 2024
Year and
or 2025? Maybe beginning of 2025. Anyways, at least a year.
right.
Um, I did not get it when it launched. And also last year when I went to the SF Pen Show, they had some of these covers there with them. And I looked at the passport and I thought, wow, it's really pretty. But I'm not going to get it because at the time I was not using my passport enough to warrant another cover. And I was like, I'm happy with the cover I have. It's an OG Midori cover, so it's 10 years old, and it's very dear to me. So for me to replace that in my daily use, it has to be for being able to use it more than just occasionally. So in July of last year, I started using my Passport TN for planning because I have kids. They are not in school for 2 months of the year. July and August are super, super busy because I'm always out and about with my kids. And I need a planner that I can take with me that has everything I kind of need with me. And that was before I got the Mini 5. So Passport was my solution for that. And ever since then, I've just fallen back in love with that size. Like it's just, even for journaling or for like I do rapid log journaling. So throughout the day, I'm writing down quick bullet points about what happens. And then when I have time to sit down and reflect and sort of journal about my day, I can look at my notes and it sort of jogs my memory because my memory is not the best. So yeah, so I went to this show and I was like, you know what? This is something that I would love to, this is something I would invest in because, it's a
I'll
pretty,
have to leave you for 1 second. I have
okay.
someone at the door.
Okay.
So you keep on talking.
I'll keep going. Okay. So the other reason why this red cover is really nice is because it goes so well with the plotter red brown cover. So the TN cover is actually not as bright red as I initially expected it to be, but the inside of it is a little bit redder. So it's sort of this rich red burgundy color. But the cover is really, it's really nice. It's smooth. It feels great. And it's not super, super bright. So as you use the covers, they will patina and they will smoothen out and get that shiny sort of look to it. So this was the one cover I really, really wanted. And I'm glad that they brought some of their past covers with them because again, you can't find some of these covers online anymore, especially if you missed the launch and if you can't find them secondhand. So it's kind of nice to find it at one of these shows and be like, yeah, you know what? I'll take that. And so is this with some of the inserts that I wanted to kind of use over the next little while. So that's my TN purchase. The other thing I was really excited about at the show, I don't know if you saw this, Marina, but LCN, who I mentioned, is a Taiwanese designer, and she's known for her wax seals and her really, really nice designs. She had this show special journaling kit and came in this cute little tote. And in it has pretty much everything that you would need to just journal on the go. And the draw for this, like the main item in this tote, is this handmade journal cover. And it's essentially like a mini TN.
Oh, it's so
And it
tiny.
has like a little
God.
charm. 20.
Don't tell Vanessa about it. I think she's gonna steal that from you. Vanessa
Oh,
Langton.
oh no.
She's into
Oh
tiny
no.
things.
I'm gonna hide this. But in it, it comes with like a little refill insert. And then also with this, you get 3 packs. So 3 different journaling inserts. So, really, really cute. And then it also came with mini stamps and this ephemera sort of notepad. But the mini stamps are really cute too. Like they come in this matchbox size
How tiny.
box. So small. But let me show you what it has, Marina. So when you slide it open, you have all the months of the year.
Oh God.
You have January all the way to December. And then you have like one stamp where you can sort of put in the year and stuff if you wanted to. But like, it's so well thought out. And I thought, what a great little memento for a journaling or, a stationery related event. So that all came in this cute little tote. So I thought that was really, really cute.
That's cute. I have to find some of the stickers. So I got the stickers I found. Oh, there were some really cute stickers. Some I got for free. Somewhere. Like I like those little dated ones. Dated ones were for free. Well, obviously I got yours because you gave me some of yours.
Yeah.
Then the inaugural San Francisco Stationery Fest vendor.
Nice. Oh yeah, very cool.
And then one of my other ones, that one was just, there were like people randomly going around and giving free stickers, which I loved.
Yeah, and creating stickers too. Like if you gave them one of yours, they would give you one of theirs. Very cool.
So this is, I have two because one of them is going to be given to a friend of mine. San Francisco, and they cross out stationery with an A. Stationery
Nice.
Festival 2026.
Nice. Very cool.
So funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like great little knickknacks. And then the cats that totes the United.
Yes.
They're so good. They're called Fug Cats and Taco Store.
Yeah, and that's where the tote is from.
Yes. They're really inventive, really nice people. They came by my table as well. Mm-hmm. And they're like, you should like showcase this more. And they really like the little charm. So there was like a lot of goodwill. Like I didn't feel like weird vibes.
Yeah, same.
So that was very nice. I like healthy competition. I don't like weird.
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk over people's bodies just to like instill their designs just to make it, type of way. And sometimes you get it. And I even got in that in watercolor maker world. There are some makers that are in it for the money and not really for the craft. And that really kind of like, that's sad.
Yeah. Yeah. But a lot of times you can also see someone's passion come through it, right? Especially when you talk to them about it. It's like, okay, tell me about your products. And to them, like for you, it's not just products. Like this is your story that you've put into, what you make. And I think that comes across pretty obviously too, where someone's like, they're not just buying, especially at these shows, they're not just buying your product because they want your product. They're buying it because of who's behind it. So,
yeah. And that's just beautiful. And everyone had like their own story. And I don't know if anyone had like a full walkthrough. I don't think so video at this point. Except if you look at SF Stationery Fest lives that
Yeah.
they have on their
Yeah.
Instagram, you can like see the layout and like people, and everyone was so different from each other.
Yeah.
It was just wonderful. And I'm not, that's not saying that pens are not. Pens are, but you know, pens are all like there's that many shapes of
Yeah.
pens.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
bound to repeat in some way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
But
was also special.
the last couple of things I wanted to show were my inks. Because,
Yay!
yes, it wasn't a pen show, but I went by the Hachimanjia table. They're
Mm-hmm.
from Japan and very, very sought after just in terms of the fountain pens that they have. They had glass dip pens. They had some accessories like washi tapes and things, but also their inks. Their inks
Nostalgia.
are so good. So I got one. It's called Jellyfish Aquarium, and it's this
Ooh.
nice blue with white and purple shimmer. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll open it just to kind of show you the bottle. So on the bottom, you can kind of see that shimmer, purple and white.
Yeah.
And as you shake the bottle, you start to see the movement of the shimmer. Oh, there's some too.
Ooh.
Yeah, and the idea behind this was they wanted to capture the movement and the feel of jellyfish in an aquarium, essentially, right? So that sort of the fluid motion of them, and they did it by, using different shimmer. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really nice, very, very cool, interesting. And then the second was, of course, the show ink.
I was so sad I missed out on that one.
I
It's just,
almost did too.
yeah, I
I
didn't notice.
I somehow missed that there was going to be a show ink
Mm-hmm.
um, until someone mentioned it in person at the show, and I was like, oh, that's interesting because pen shows usually have a show ink, something that's
Yeah.
there's a brand that partners with the show and comes up with some sort of shade or ink color that is representative of the show for that year. And I guess I assumed probably that it didn't make sense that there would be a show ink for this because it's not a pen show, but there
Right.
was. And Oblation is in Portland, so they're local-ish. Um, and it's called Pacific Fog, and it's this really, really nice shade of blue with gray, a little bit of lavender and pink. That's so pretty. I wish it was a bigger bottle, but maybe not because I only had carry on with me, so obviously I had to be mindful of the liquids I was bringing back. But I feel like I could use a big bottle of this.
Oh, so I guess we have to clarify. That was actually up to vendors if they had like a show special. So this was like a show special ink to this one vendor. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like a show wide show. Because
Right.
that's what you were thinking, right, Carola? Like show inks.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Like usually or at pen shows, the show itself will collaborate with an ink maker and then have this like, ink that's representative of the show. So, yeah, this was exclusive to Oblation. They made an ink for the show. But yeah.
Yeah, which was a surprise in that sense that someone did do it.
Mhm.
But a show as a in like the whole, they didn't have specials.
Yeah.
It is also a new show,
Yeah.
so maybe in the future we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so we're at
Yeah.
2 hour mark.
Just talking about all the things.
All things. So if there are any at all last questions in the next few minutes, please pop them for us to see. Other than that, we will be moving to the closing arguments here. So, Carola, what would you say if people are still on the fence if they should attend or not next year?
um, I would say if you can make it to the show, I think it's worth checking out. Um, at least for one day. But if you do the whole weekend and just make it an experience, I would check out the whole weekend. I feel like there was enough to fill up a weekend if you were going as just an attendee, in terms of a balance between paying to be at the show and purchasing items, but also being able to just sit down with other, people who are in the hobby, and use your stationery, journal, ask questions, right? Get to know a little bit more about the community if you're kind of new to it and you feel kind of shy, or you don't know what you're doing and you want to learn techniques and how other people are using their notebooks and stuff. I feel like there was enough of a balance of seminars, workshops, classes, and meetups where you get to meet people, or you could pay to take a class and learn something new that's related to some of the supplies that you might have but don't use in different ways. And I just feel this show was put on really, really well for their first edition of it as well. Um, Overall, I didn't have any complaints. Like, I didn't think there was anything that stood out in terms of like, oh, this is not good, or this could be really improved. Um, we always talk about how busy it is and how many people are there. I feel like that's like a never ending comment with these shows. We have to remember it's a show. It's once a year. Of
Mm.
course, everyone will want to be there, especially if you're local, especially if you're able to drive there. And then you have people like me who are flying in specifically to be part of the show. So it will be busy. Expect there to be crowds, but I think there are ways around it in terms of when you go to strategically take, maybe you don't want it to be that crowded, so maybe go on the Friday.
Mm.
Maybe you don't want a limited edition plotter or a cover from Traveler's Notebook, or something that's specific to this show that you can't get anywhere at any time. So then go later on the Friday,
Yeah.
right? Maybe let it thin out a little bit. Let the people that have certain things in mind, let them kind of get their things, and then
Mhm.
it sort of thins out. So I think there are ways around if you're concerned about how many people are there and maybe it's really overwhelming to you. I think there are ways around that. But I found the layout of the show floor worked with being able to allow people to stand at tables, buy things, or look at things, and then having people walk past behind you. I think it was done really well in that way. And then also less vendors. So if we're comparing to the pen show, the Stationery Fest had less vendors in the way that classes and workshops were part of the show floor. So
Mhm.
you had to pay to access to the show. But once you were in, you could do some purchasing and buying and then pay extra to take a class, but the classes were right there. Like, you didn't have to leave the hotel. You didn't need to, unless I will caveat that, unless there were specific classes that were outside of, the main show floor, or seminars or meetups. Some of those were in some of the boardrooms.
Mhm.
And you did have to leave, but you didn't have to go far. So I feel like having everything there made it very, very convenient, and just easy to get to. So for all those reasons, for all those reasons, I thought the show was put on really well. Um, Little blips here and there that I don't think were, I don't think they're like things that can't be dealt with. But what do you think, Marina?
Yeah, I think it was just very. I do think it's not that pen shows are not family friendly. They are, but I think this was kind of much more like I've seen people who would come up to a table and there would be like my husband's, all the students, who are like not necessarily into fountain pens, but like, it's just like such different people. Or like there was a potter that I know, and he's like, I'm here with my wife. I'm not into stationery. And yet he was still looking, and obviously we have pottery in common, right? And so there are people like me with pottery. There are a couple of other people with some pottery. And it's just such a wide variety. Yeah, not saying that pen shows don't have it,
Mhm.
but it's just like it felt like much more a thing you can do with friends who are not into pens or family that is not. And it is represented, yet it gives them much more choice, many choices to kind of like, look around, take your kids with you. It's like, I like that. It
Yeah.
just felt like if you don't know, you want to expose your friend to fountain pens and stationery, but you're not quite sure if they can handle the pen show. I feel like this is what I would invite.
Yeah. And we've talked about how the Stationery Fest is more general, right? So you're more likely to be into stationery as a whole
Right.
than specialized fountain pens. You narrow down that community by just having a pen show that's only about pens. And I
Yeah.
think that's where we see some of that crossover is the SF Pen Show last year had some stationery vendors there who were selling stickers and accessories.
Mm-hmm.
And that probably added to overall traffic and how many people were accessing the pen show. But in general, you would expect that the pen show has a lot more pen content and
Mm-hmm.
vendors versus a stationary event, which is, it encompasses so much
Right.
that you're more likely to find those little things that you're into as a
Mm-hmm.
person, as a stationary person or a creative person than maybe if you were just looking to go to a pen show. So I like that this is your option too.
I actually would love for someone to give their opinion to us, like if they brought a friend to Stationery Fest, and then that friend, like they said, they like the place, they like the overall everything,
Right.
and they're like, would they be more curious and likely to come to the pen show in August? Like, I wonder, because my guess is they would.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a couple of people in my workshops come up to me after and they asked if I did my classes and my workshops at the pen show. And because they hadn't heard of my classes beforehand, but they tried it at the Stationery Fest and then we're like, do you also teach at the pen show? And so I told them that my classes at the pen show are slightly, well, not slightly, a little bit more than slightly different in the way that the medium is different.
Mm-hmm.
So at the Stationery Fest, I was using, Tombow dual brush markers, which are a little bit more accessible. A lot more people have brush pens
Mm-hmm.
and walking through how you can use them. Whereas at the pen show, my classes are we use fountain pen inks, and so if you've never used them before, then it's like something totally new to you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do use them in fountain pens, you may not have painted with them. And so
Right.
it's using something again that you're probably using in your daily life, but in a different way.
Yeah.
So in that way, it differs too, is that I'm looking at different mediums, I'm looking at different types of products you would use as a stationary person versus someone who's really into fountain pens and specifically into inks and, fountain pen related stuff.
Yeah. All right. So this is officially my longest live stream.
Like, my voice.
On that note, it's been a
Yes, thank you for
pleasure to
being
chat with
here.
you. Yes, you too. Thank you
Yeah.
for being around.
Yeah, and maybe to close it off, is there any other content you're going to put out about the show? Like if people are, you obviously teased your haul. Do you
Right.
want to talk about what
Yeah.
else you're coming out with in terms
I
of
I
recap?
will show it all on the weekend. I'm going to talk a little bit more about mention my perspective as someone who was there as a vendor. And I'm going to have a video up this weekend talking about it. So, like,
Yay.
subscribe, all of these things. Happy
Yeah.
to have you. And are you going to do something else? What do you think, Carola?
Yeah, I did my full haul on a Twitch stream. I'm also going to do a Substack post some point, probably this weekend. So if you're into long form blog content, you can follow me on Substack. And then I have some footage from the show So I was able to take some just video of the show floor and the different vendors and stuff like that. So if you want to watch actual video footage, I'll try and have that this weekend, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff to go through. So.
That is needed. Yeah, I don't really see that around. There was like from specific vendors, there are like a few things, but I feel like because I was unable to do it, I was like, I would love to, but since I'm tied to a spot, and I think that
Yeah.
was the difference between you and I. You were tied to a specific spot at specific time.
Yeah.
But for me, I was like there most of the time. So
Yeah.
it's very valuable.
Yeah. It's also very in pieces because every time I got to a table and, recognize the vendor, I would have to stop my video to chat with them and catch up and stuff like
Right.
that. And of course, there were people around tables sometimes where it got really busy. But, it is, I personally like to see what it's like to be at one of these events. So I try and capture some of that for people who couldn't be there. So
Yeah. All right. On that note,
yeah.
check Carola out. If you don't follow her, please.
Yeah. Stay tuned to our content and Instagram and YouTube and wherever you kind of like to consume content.
And more plotter conversation.
Yeah, always. I'm always happy to chat about that stuff. But thank you so much for having me, Marina.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. Yeah, I hope it was not too distracting. I'm a little sick after this whole experience, which was great. But that's what comes with, being in touch with so many people. Sometimes your body is just like, oh, I'm done for right now.
Yeah.
All right, you guys have a great weekend in advance and stay connected.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you. All right. Goodbye, everyone.